Well, we're watching this. This is actually Blue's baby. So don't get me wrong. It's not what I thought it was. It's not Blue.
Do you remember the first time you saw a dinosaur?
Watch this right here.
Here I am with Blue. She's displaying interest, concern. She's remarkable.
Blue's baby.
Do you remember the first time you saw a dinosaur?
Yes. It was
For
that
kids
movie.
who grow up loving dinosaurs, the Jurassic movies
But,
are
yeah.
really the vehicle
Alright,
for
now I want
senior
you to see
dreams
this.
realized.
Hold on. Alright. Why did the Indominus Rex kill her sibling?
The Jurassic movies
Why?
So why did the Indominus Rex kill her sibling? Based on what we saw go down in Jurassic World, it's easy for us to see the I-Rex as a monster, an angry, enraged beast whose only interest is killing everything in sight.
Yes.
However, being that she is highly intelligent, have you ever considered that there's so much more to her motivations than meets the eye? All we know is that they cooked her up in a lab, and that's really all we hear. Lab animals go through so much, and their innocence are rendered as exploited because they're made uncertain as to why these beings are doing this to them. They probably don't think of humans as evil the same way that if a shark would attack us in the water, we wouldn't think of it as evil, just a scary predator that is doing what it's designed to do. There's no personal vendetta or sinister meaning behind it. This is especially true if the animals were never treated with tenderness from a young age. Many people
You see,
chalk up
Owen
the
treated
Indominus
his
Rex
raptors very
as
good.
reason for eating her sibling to being competition, dominance, or that she was plainly sadistic from the start. It's not unheard of for creatures to eat their siblings. I mean, animals such as sand tiger sharks commit fratricide before they even exit the womb. One shark will be left standing or floating before the mother shark performs a live birth. This cannibalistic behavior by the baby sand tiger shark is a product of evolution. Like cats, a female sand tiger shark can bear offspring from different male sharks, so there's a very likely chance that all the baby sharks inside her womb have completely different fathers. This would give reason to the baby sharks to compete with one another, wanting the best male offspring to survive. Even though the Indominus Rex is made up of different creatures, and because it is a hybrid of so many different dinosaurs and animals, it's highly understandable why the scientists knew not what to expect. Technically, every dinosaur in Jurassic Park is a hybrid, but this animal's construction seems to be a mishmash of many different things more so than the average dinosaur in Jurassic Park. Even though the Velociraptor gene is one
Oh,
out of
yeah, I
an
saw
estimate of
that.
12 different species that were used to cook up this dinosaur, it seems to be the one that stands out the most in terms of its intelligence. There has to be something more to it because the animal is far more intelligent than normal, even more so than the Velociraptors, as it seems. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that. What I do want us to focus on is the fact that the Indominus is highly intelligent. So, a baby sand tiger shark eating its siblings doesn't know that it's doing it to get rid of the competition. It's more so an instinctive behavior that was brought about through many years of evolution. The Indominus Rex seems to be a creature that gives a lot of thought into certain behaviors. Tricking the park employees into coming into her cage, knowing what her tracking device was, much less to know to claw it out and to remember where they put it, these are behaviors that gives us cause to look at this animal as just more than a primitive, bloodthirsty creature. We don't get much into its childhood, but I can imagine it being completely different from how Owen Grady's raptors were.
There you go.
Now, for us to really understand, we would have to get into the mindset of the Indominus Rex, or see things from its perspective. So, imagine this. You're born into a cold world. You hatch out of your egg and you're alongside your brother or sister. There's no warmth or familial connection to be had. Whatever you are handled, it's roughly and with indifference. Your sibling and you are placed in a container where you can see what's going on around you. These strange beings that prod and poke you and your sibling seem to only have the purpose of torturing you. As soon as you come into this life, you're injected, force-fed, and treated in a completely unnatural manner. The only connection that you have is with your sibling. You two are apparently a success, but it didn't stop there. As you grow, so does your intelligence, and so does your observational skills. You notice that there are other animals around the lab that are engineered or brought to life, and most of them don't make it. Most of them are either put under immense stress and killed as a result, born severely deformed, and just slowly left to die to see how long they'll last, or killed and possibly fed to other live animals in the lab. abused, starved to see how long they can go without food, fed certain things to experiment certain allergic reactions that usually end up in death or sickness. Very quickly, as an intellectual being, even though you don't know exactly what you are, you know that this is a very hostile environment. You've also seen countless attempts of these beings trying to recreate what looks like you and your sibling. The majority of them come out deformed or dead. However, they do manage to create another one successfully. They decide to do tests on this one. They do a variety of stress tests to see which genes are activated throughout the genetic engineering. They want to see how your new younger brother deals with intense heat directly on the skin, how high he can jump or climb under stress. The stress usually comes in the forms of electrocution, fire, hitting, and other means. They put him in the extremely cold temperatures and keep turning the dial as low as they can until he becomes motionless. As they gradually increase the heat again, and your brother fails to stir, they nudge him and then poke him with a sharp object to stimulate him. When he fails to move then, they put him back in his canister. These tests go on for days and then weeks. They break some of his bones to see how fast he can heal. They pour different types of acid on his skin to see if skin regeneration is a feature that he has. And they inflict pain on him to see what kinds of vocalizations he makes under stress.
That's so mean, though.
You witness all of this going on for weeks. Eventually, your new little brother dies. You notice that the scientists start looking at your sibling. You can't really understand what they're saying, but you have the inkling that they want to run similar tests, albeit milder ones, on your sibling. So what do? What would you do to the only person you've ever loved and known, to the only being with whom you have a true connection? Would you not want to save them from the suffering that you see many of these other animals go through? Many modern animals of today, when facing starvation or being cornered by predators, will kill and eat their offspring to protect them from being killed by the predators. In the face of starvation, they will eat their offspring out of mercy and to also not waste the bodies. A mother rodent, knowing that she cannot provide for her young, only has one choice in her instinctual mind. She doesn't want her babies to starve, and if she eats them, she can sustain herself long enough until better times arrive to where she can have a new batch of babies in better conditions. There's some animals like wild horses who will do the same. Horses don't eat their young, of course, since they're herbivores. But if a male stallion sees one of his mares give birth to a foal that is sick or handicapped, he will make the move to go over, grab it by the neck, and shake it until its neck breaks or it dies. It seems brutal, but he's doing the foal a mercy. I'm not saying this is the case with the Indominus Rex, but I'm only asking you to consider the possibility. I mean, it would explain why she hates the humans so much, even explain why she didn't kill herself. Having the level of intelligence that she does,
so real,
like raptors, she probably would have likely become embittered towards the humans and bided her time until she could seek revenge on them. She probably even understood how important the park was to the humans, and she probably understood that all the dinosaurs that existed in the park were aberrations, which would explain why she just wanted to kill all of them. She hated what these dinosaurs stood for, that they were the creations that the humans took joy in, that they got to live fake and happy lives. So that's just a theory that we procured, but what do you think is the real reason the Indominus Rex killed her sibling? Do you think it was just as simple as trying to get rid of competition? After all, the big one in Jurassic Park killed most of the raptors because they were defying her and would not submit to her authority. But we're interested in hearing from you guys. So write down in the comments below what your idea is of why the Indominus Rex killed her sibling.
Well,
thank you guys so much for watching.
What did the Indominus Rex say to the raptors? Why? There we go.
In Jurassic World, right before the raptors turned against Owen and the others, the Iris was communicating with them. The conversation seemed to go on for a minute. So, what did she tell the Raptor Squad to make them suddenly become aware that the humans were prey? First, to understand this, we must look at the Indominus Rex's behavior. It's fair to assume that she saw the humans as her enemy for a while. I don't think she suddenly decided one day to trick them and go on an all-out killing spree. Based on how the IREX stared down Claire and Maserati, I'd say she was observing them from inside her paddock, and there was a glint of cognizance in her eyes. I don't know about you guys, but she looked like she had a look of disdain. She had a hatred for humans for keeping her captive, and, dare I say it, might even know somewhat what she is. With her intelligence, she may understand to some degree that something is wrong with her, in a sense, or even more mysterious, she may even have witnessed certain things in the lab that either happen to other hybrids or her siblings. That's a whole other discussion entirely, but the main point is that she's vexed with the humans. She takes her anger out on everything, having escaped her paddock, but the main war she seems to wage is against the humans. When Owen and the team go out to hunt the Indominus Rex, she comes out from the tree line and seems to have a short conversation with the raptors. Consequently, they turn around and face the team. The raptors don't have a level of intelligence that the Indominus Rex has, since she is a hybrid operating on almost human-like intelligence. So, what is the simplest thing that she'd be able to convey to the raptors to make them turn on the humans? Well, in theory, is that she told them in as much. 1, those creatures are using you. 2, they're easy prey and have no business bossing you around. Or 3, they are the real enemy since they're keeping you captive and you can be free. Now, being that these raptors are still childlike and don't process or possess the level of intelligence that the Indominus Rex has, it is unlikely that she would have communicated with them in this way precisely. A more credible theory is that she conveyed this. Number 1, I'm a bigger and more powerful creature than your pack leader. I can kill you if I want. I'm your leader now, so do what I say. Or 2, I'm your pack leader, those creatures are a threat to me, and so are now a threat to you as my pack. Help me kill them, and I will protect you and provide for you and give you freedom. Or 3, hey, they're easy food, that's easy to kill and eat. Let's go. In that moment, the Indominus Rex played upon the raptor's primitive mindset. And have you ever seen a child look up to their dad? Just to put it a little bit closer to home. Then when they meet someone younger, more in shape, more hip, more tech-savvy, and cooler, they suddenly see their dad as the enemy for some reason and forget that their dad raised them, it seems. Young people do this because they're impressionable, especially if they've not had any other outside influence. The sudden onset of new stimulation makes the youngster feel like this new person knows more, and they feel this, that they can relate more to the person than they can their dad, and subsequently, they can take them places their dad cannot, or so they believe. This is essentially what happened with the raptors. It's the reason why in the animal kingdom, whenever the leader of a herd is defeated by an outsider that wants to take over that herd, the rest of the herd members have no problem following the new leader. Animals are very simple, and I don't mean that in a derogatory term. I mean that they don't make things complicated, simple as that. In their minds, if the stranger was able to overthrow our leader so easily, well, then the leader was not meant to be our leader, and we clearly have a higher chance of survival with a leader that can easily defeat him. So the herd members think, oh, let's follow this new leader now. And you may think that it's silly that they think this way, because the herd members more than outnumber the lone newcomer. But it's not just the idea of the individuality, but the possibility and opportunities that are presented as a result of that newcomer becoming the leader. For that newcomer to have made it alone thus far, they clearly have better genes or more intelligence, and so wisely the herd members will follow because A, they would rather not think for themselves, because everyone knows it's easier to just depend on someone else to know every morning where you're going to get food and how you're going to make it through the winter. Following orders is better than coming up with them to give. And B, there is an overwhelming sense of security with a patriarchal or matriarchal figure that is willing to fight to lead you. Herd members enter a pup-like stage when they're presented in front of a very strong, intimidating leader. Now, if that leader fails to help them survive adequately or is not doing a great job of it, one of the herd members will try to overthrow the leader because life has to find a way. Now that all of that is said, I wonder what changed Blue's mind when the Indominus Rex gave her the order near the end of the movie to kill Owen and the others. Could it be that because Blue lost most of her pack. She lost 2 of her sisters. She felt as though Owen was one of the last pack members with whom she shared familiarity. But not moments ago, she was ready to kill him. Okay, or even more innocuous. Could it be possible that the Indominus Rex releases a pheromone that induces some sense of mind control to animals that are susceptible? That's an interesting theory, but let's not get into that. Let's hear from you guys. We know you have a lot to say, so what do you guys think the Indominus Rex was telling Blue and the other raptors in the scene were...
Alright, let's see this one. No, not this.
Versus vengeance.
Why? I hate this.
In the last battle scene in Jurassic World, after Rexy and Blue teamed up to defeat Indy, the indomitable hybrid, they had a very sweet moment where they acknowledged one another. As Rexy turned around to face her Velociraptor comrade, she gave her a look and then limped away. Many people were asking if realistically a T-Rex would have done that. We're not implying that dinosaurs don't have intelligence, and we're not negating that some have more than others. We just believed that the T-Rex would have more of a primal instinct than to acknowledge that a raptor is her friend or what have you. So what's the real reason why this mighty queen Tyrannosaurus Rex did not clamp her jaws around Blue?
Because they helped her.
Number of fans want to believe it's because Rexy knew that Blue was her friend. Not a friend in our sense. More like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of situation. There's no denying that Blue would not have been able to bring down Indy on her own, and she would have attacked whether or not Rexy had been in the picture. Can you imagine if you were Blue, waking up to see all of what remained of your siblings dead? The sheer rage Blue showed was the same the big one Velociraptor showed to Rexy when she killed her pack member. So,
Yeah.
Blue would have still fought Indy, but she
They
also
literally
understood
cooked
that
one.
Rexy was a tool in helping to defeat this monster. Rexy, on the other hand, could have cared less. Rexy's relationship with Blue in this case is the same that remora fish have with sharks. You might have seen clips of sharks swimming around with these weird fish attached to their bodies, just dangling there going along for the ride. The sharks don't seem bothered by them in the least, and if 2 sharks for some reason got into an altercation, they wouldn't aim for the fish that are attached to one another. Something that has become a mutual species is almost non-existent to the bigger one. We see the same mutualism with crocodiles and some birds that feed on the scraps between their teeth. Somehow, the crocodiles know that these birds are not prey and are there to help them feel better. There's no doubt that if you were to go over as a human and try to get that croc's mouth open, which it probably would have liked to do anyway, without you prompting it, so that you could pick the food out of its teeth, it would not be leaving without your fingers. But somehow, the Egyptian plover bird knows it can get away with this with a crocodile. So here's a boil down of what really happened in that scene and why. First of all, when Rexy was finished fighting the Indominus Rex, she was injured, weak, and tired. With Blue standing there alone, she was not perceived as a threat. It is possible that if Blue was darting back and forth in quick motions, the T-Rex's instinct would have kicked in and tried to snap at Blue. Also, based on that, it is quite possible that Rexy didn't even see or perceive Blue as a living object. Remember, the T-Rex in Jurassic Park had vision based on movement. When she looked down at Blue, she saw an object standing there, and Blue was very still at first. She only backed up very slightly. She also made a noise. However, it was dark and wet, and there was crackling electricity in the wind. We know the T-Rex can't hear as well as it can see, based on the movies anyway. Because when Lex and Alan Grant in the first movie were behind the car, and Lex was making noises as Rexy was spinning the car around, the T-Rex was none the wiser because it couldn't see them. The better example is when prior to that, Lexi let out a blood-curdling scream, but because she was standing still right under Rexy's nose, Rexy did not detect her presence. Not to mention, the color scheme that Blue sported were colors that blended right into the concrete in the darkness of the night. But everyone wants to believe that Rexy looked at Blue because she actually saw her. Would a real T-Rex have snapped at Blue? Possibly. But in this case, these two had a mutualistic partnership, and to tell the truth, Rexy could not have been bothered. In addition to the aforementioned, compared to the creature she just fought, Blue was not a perceived threat. Now, if it had been a pack of raptors that was helping the Tyrannosaurus Rex fight the Indominus, and they had been left over, things might have been different. Rexy might have perceived the fact that there were more than one of these things as another perceived threat, which might have resulted in her snapping at them. Let's remember that Rexy is the same Tyrannosaurus Rex that had a run with these velociraptors in the first Jurassic Park film, so she probably would have been a little bit more wary if there were several of them standing there. When all is said and done, Rexy was just tired. She knew this raptor was on top of her, and it was not hurting her when it was, but hurting the other thing that she didn't like, but that's as far as it goes. Also, being in pain and tired, it's fair to assume that Rexy was not particularly hungry. If she was at that point, and it had been an issue of fighting over food, Blue would have been next on the list, but it wasn't. It is also possible that Rexy could have been waiting to see what Blue would have done. If Blue had made a quick movement towards Rexy or across her line of vision, Rexy would have reacted. But Blue wisely made the decision to stay as still as possible, to back up slightly while making cooing noises that could have also been perceived as the background noises of debris falling from buildings and electricity crackling. But that's our theory as to why Rexy did not rip Blue's head off after the Indominus Rex fight.
Yeah.
What is your theory? It may be simple, it may be complicated, it may be far-fetched, and it may be reasonable. We'd still like to hear it. We love hearing from you as much as we love making our own theories and sharing them with you guys. Be sure to check out...
This is the last video I think we might watch. I hate this thing so much. It's awful.
So Blue the Velociraptor has been a long-time favorite since she first showed up in Jurassic
Yes.
World. And the last time we saw her, Owen Grady, her alpha, was releasing her into the wild on Isla Nublar. She also fought alongside Rexy the Tyrannosaurus Rex to defeat the Indominus Rex. As far as we know, she's on her own. A lot of people were speculating that Delta, one of her sisters, may still be alive, but the majority of Jurassic Park fans believe that Blue is indeed on her own, and we know that raptors function better when they are in a pack. There's also been a lot of hints to there being an Indoraptor, and it was also mentioned in Jurassic World when Vic was
Sorry, I had to pause it really quick.
Rex, or having a dinosaur like the Indominus Rex, but making it smaller. And the Indominus Rex, as you know if you've watched Jurassic World, is part raptor. So basically, remove some of the massive breeds from out of its gene pool, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it will just be a regular sized raptor, maybe a little bit bigger than the normal raptors, but also way more deadly and way more intelligent. There have been many speculations as to how it would play out in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but I saw it this way. I can imagine that Blue is by herself. It's really hard for her to really hunt because, first of all, she grew up, she spent her whole life in captivity, and now she's out in the wild having to fend for herself. I'm pretty sure at some point instinct will take over, and she will be able to hunt, but she won't be able to bring down game big enough to really hold her over for a while. Plus, you gotta also remember, a lot of these other dinosaurs that are either her size or bigger are gonna fight back, because they're also starving and fighting for survival. I picture in my mind that she may be hunting one of these herbivores or another carnivore shows up, whatever the case is, whether it be an herbivore, a dangerous herbivore, or another carnivore who wants to eat her, and she's too weak to really fight or run off, so she's just standing there, or she's trying to...
I've been gone for like 30 minutes.
Or other dinosaur runs the other direction before it can do harm to Blue, only for us to then see that it is the Indoraptor that scared them off. Now, you think that the Indoraptor would attack Blue, but I believe that they probably will form some kind of bond because, as far as we know, that's probably the only Indoraptor that's out there. We knew that the Indominus Rex was the only one of its kind, and there were actually two, but it ate its siblings. So I don't know if the same situation would be here for the Indoraptor, or if they just make one just to see how it would behave, more like an experiment. But I believe that the Indoraptor will see Blue as a potential ally, not really because it needs her help per se, but it is still a part raptor, and it longs for that social interaction. So I believe it is possible that the Indoraptor and Blue will form a relationship, and even better, I theorize that Blue may become pregnant by the Indoraptor. It's probably a reach, but I'm just thinking that. And when Owen Grady comes back into the scene, Blue will still have a bond with him. She'll still remember him, but the Indoraptor is not going to have it. And seeing the Indoraptor attack Owen or go for Owen, Blue is going to have to face that situation, that uncomfortable situation, to confront the Indoraptor to try and save Owen. And I think that that's when a battle is going to go down or something, and he might kill Blue or really injure her. it's gonna be a darker movie, as per Colin Trevorrow saying that that J.A. Bayna is a much darker director. So I can totally see Blue dying, but I think the bittersweet thing, or the bittersweet consequence of that is her having eggs on the island, and those eggs being a mixture of that intelligent hybrid and Blue. So this is what I think is going to happen. It may not be anywhere near that, but it's still fun to theorize because this movie is coming out in 2018, the summer. So what do you guys think is going to happen? Do you think that Indoraptor is actually going to appear in Jurassic World? There's a lot of hints to it. We're saying that it's almost definite at this point that the Indoraptor is going to show up. Plus, it was foreshadowed in Jurassic World as well. But I'm really excited to see, because I know for certain that there is going to be some sort of interaction with Blue, between Blue and this Indoraptor. So let me know what you guys think. I'll be bringing you guys some more videos on Jurassic World.
Guys, you heard? Be sure to subscribe to join the Raptor Squad, and, well, bye.